Hi, my name is Teresa Richards and I am a mindset and productivity coach for perfectionists. I'm the host of the Valued Life podcast where I help you conquer your fear of failure, stop procrastinating, and create mindful productivity systems so that you can achieve more in less time without stressing out. I'm so happy you're here. So let's jump right into the episode. Today is all about bullet journaling. I love bullet journaling. I have been doing it on and off since about 2015-16 when I was at uni and life was lifing and I needed a system to help me deal with the complexity of, juggling uni work and all the different modules, as well as doing extracurricular, as well as working, as well as volunteering. It was a lot going on and I was an anxious person. So bullet journaling literally saved my life. And you're probably wondering, what is a bullet journal then? And according to the bullet journal creator, Ryder Carroll, the bullet journal is an organization system that was initially used as a method to help him manage his ADHD. Analog, put into simple terms, a bullet journal is your all-in-one tool for organizing your life. It's where you can manage your tasks, plan your schedule, track your habits, and express yourself creatively. And it's also completely customizable, which is great for perfectionists who are very busy with changing schedules and, needs that adaptability factor there. The benefits of a bullet journal for perfectionists specifically is that it gives you a system that's really organized but flexible enough to fit your style. And it also lets you be creative without the stress of getting everything right. You can literally start again the next day, the next page, the next month, the next year, whatever it is, you can just start again. It's not a fixed planner. And it helps you track your progress without feeling overwhelmed and encourages you to focus on moving forward rather than aiming for perfectly designed pages. And also, it just lets you explore your thoughts and feelings without any judgment, especially if you set it up in a mindful way, which is what I'm going to talk to you about in this episode. The bullet journal is for everyone, and it can be as simple or as creative as you want it to be. When I first started researching bullet journaling, I was overwhelmed by the artsy, complicated spreads that you'd see on YouTube. Those things would just take hours to create, and I tried and failed to copy those styles that I saw on Instagram, Tumblr, Pinterest, etc. And in the end, it just resulted in me giving up and feeling overwhelmed. So when I eventually returned to bullet journaling, I decided to stick to the simplest layouts, the ones that just didn't cause stress and I could just be consistent with. So this is what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the system that I currently use, and I'm going to explain the process of me starting with it, because I didn't start with the system I have now. I started really small, and that's what I'm going to encourage you to do. Start small and then eventually build up to it. The basic bullet journal tools that you will need is a notebook. I like to use a dotted notebook, and specifically the Leuchtturm 1917 medium A5 dotted notebook. But that's just me, and that seems to be the most popular choice for bullet journaling as well. I don't know why. I'm guessing the creator started with that, and that's probably why it's everyone's doing it. But I've been using it for years, have no regrets. I love it so much. But yeah, I recommend the Leuchtturm 1917 A5 dotted notebook. And then you just need a pen. I like to use just a black fine liner. I used to use all these different colored pens and make it pretty, but it just was overwhelming. I don't recommend it. If you just want to get started, just get a black pen and stick with that one pen for your bullet journal. And then finally, this is optional, you can just buy a ruler. I currently use one of their Filofax rulers because it's a really thin one and it can just slot into the back of my bullet journal. However, you can just use any ruler, or you can just even just draw your lines by hand. There's no pressure really. I'm going to explain the basic bullet journal setup, and then I'm going to go through and add some adaptations that perfectionists can use if they want to build a mindful productivity system. So the basic, when you buy your Leuchtturm 1917 journal, if you want, you'll notice that they actually have an index page in the first couple of pages. And this is basically where you can just keep track of your different pages in your bullet journal. It's like a contents page basically. And I started with good intentions, but I don't use it because I know exactly where everything is, but it's something that you might want to use if you want. And then the next thing I like to add is a key. And there's actually like an official key for bullet journaling. Like there's a method to it. And it's basically when you get your tasks, which I'll explain in your daily log, I'll explain a bit more later. You can just log. So instead of just like, you can categorize your things in your to-do list a bit better. So for example, if you just do like a full stop, then that will just symbolize a task. And then a cross will symbolize task completed, like when you cross out that task. And then is it greater than symbol? I don't know what the official term is, but in maths, we'd call it the greater than symbol. And that basically means the task has been migrated. So you've moved it to another day or another week. And then if you do the less than symbol, it basically means the task has been scheduled. So you've jotted down a task and then you've added it to your calendar. And then if you just do a little dash or a hyphen, it's just a note that you're adding. And then a circle highlights an event and a star highlights a priority task. So I like to draw the key on the first page just so that it's fresh in my mind and I know what's going on. But you'll get used to it. Like I've described it here, but I actually have a whole blog post about my minimalist bullet journal with pictures and descriptions so you can actually see what I'm talking about. So have a look on that and check that out. It's on thevaluedlife.co.uk. The next page, I like to just put my 2024 goals or my goals for the year. So for example, I just put between 2 to 5 goals for the year. I keep it very simple, just one sentence, but it's just nice to have on the first page. The next 2 pages I use to document my year. I divide it into months, so from January to December, and then I just put any tasks that need to be done on certain things, just planning ahead basically. And you can keep it as simple or as complicated as you want. I've seen loads of different designs, but just keep it simple for now anyway. And then the next page is basically my weekly log. So this is what I really recommend you start with. So when I first started doing my bullet journal, like this time around, so I started again, like I had a bit of a break in like 2021, 2022 a little bit. And then I restarted with a fresh mindset like in 2023. And I literally just started with my weekly log. And that was basically a brain dump of all of the tasks that I need to do, like everything that I could think of, like, you know, when you feel overwhelmed and you're like, oh my God, there's so much to do, I can't think. My weekly log is just dumping every single thing on this task, whether it's big or small, I just dump it on the page because at least now it's on paper. Now it's no longer in my mind. Now I'm no longer stressing out. Like it's on paper, I can see it and now I can deal with it. So that's what my weekly log is. I kind of like now it's evolved where I divide it into personal and business tasks. But before then, it's just dumped on the page. It was just everything. And then from that, you can basically plan your week from there. So I recommend you do a weekly log, which is basically a log of all the tasks you need to do for the week. Then the next page I recommend you have is a daily log. And this is basically your daily task list. So for me, I like to start with gratitude. And that's one thing I really recommend you do is every day put a one sentence or one word of just something that you're grateful for. It just gets you in the right mindset. I also like to put intentions, affirmation, and a Bible verse, but you don't have to do that. Like I would say, just start with gratitude and build on from there. And then I look at my weekly log and I pick out the key tasks that I want to complete on this day. And again, just start with like 2 to 5 tasks that you can do because you don't want to overwhelm yourself. Like the goal is just to try and start small and build trust with yourself and also just get rid of that feeling of being overwhelmed. So pick between 2 or 5 tasks that you know you can do and make sure you pick the tasks that balance out. Like there's no point picking 5 really complicated, mentally taxing tasks because deep down you know you're not going to do it. So let's be realistic here. Like start with maybe 1 high intensity task and then just 2, 3, maybe 2 medium tasks or even 2 small tasks and 1 like 5-minute task. You know, you want to get your quick wins in there as well. You don't it doesn't have to be all stressful because otherwise you won't do it and then you'll feel bad. You'll start shaming yourself It'll just be such a negative experience. So like the goal is to be realistic. You will tick off everything eventually and you'll get there. But right now, if you're feeling overwhelmed, just start with the daily non-negotiables, like the things you have to do. Start there and then build on from that. And then I like to leave a section at the bottom of the page called Daily Summary. And I basically just put a sentence or two about the day and just helps me reflect and just ground myself, whether it's a good day, a bad day, things I want to do better tomorrow and stuff like that. And then I also just leave a little one line at the bottom for end of day gratitude. You don't have to do that. Like I just started with once a day gratitude in the morning, but now I like to do it, morning and night. It just puts things into context. But that's basically the basic setup that you need. If you are starting a bullet journal, that's all you really need. Like you need your weekly log and your daily log. You can just start there, and then build on it, add the other stuff as you go along. But just start with your weekly log and daily log. Just do that consistently. Do it for 30 days. And then when you feel ready, add in the extra things that I'm going to talk about now. Okay, so now you're onto the fun side of bullet journaling. And these are like the adaptations that you can add into your productivity system. However, again, I'm all about just starting small. Okay, so just start with one thing and then the next month add another thing, then the next month add another thing, and just really embed it into your routine. Don't try and add all these things at once because you will feel overwhelmed. It'll be too much. You can't keep up with it, and then you'll stop bullet journaling. You won't touch it for months. You'll feel guilty. You'll feel shame, and then you'll be like, see, this is why I can't do things. I'm not good enough. And then before you know it, the cycle, the negative shame spiral has started. We're going to just calm down, and we're going to just start one step at a time. You're going to just start with the daily log and the weekly log, and you're going to do that for a month. And then you're going to add the extra stuff. You're going to add the month log or the year log. And then you're going to add your goals, okay? You're going to add your habit tracker if you want one. You're going to add your weekly and monthly reviews. You're going to introduce, journaling. You're going to add all these different things eventually. Right now, just start small, okay? So now that I've told you that, let's jump right into it. So let's start with the monthly goals. So I like to create monthly goals and split it into the 8 areas of life. So for example, I have health and fitness, friends and family, career and business, finances, personal and spiritual, romantic relationships, fun and recreation, and home organization. But officially home organization's called physical environment, but that just sounded a bit too clinical for my bullet journal, so I call it home organization to keep it cute. But so those are the 8 areas of life. I like to add maximum 3 goals, 3 simple goals for each area, because again, I'm not trying to overwhelm myself. I'm trying to keep up with just simple things. So for example, right now on friends and family section, one of my bullet points is literally arrange a R&B brunch. That's it. So for this month of March, I need to at least hang out with one group of friends and go to an R&B brunch. That's my one goal. Because balancing all 8 areas of your life is one of the best ways to make sure that you just kind of keep track. You live a very wholesome, holistic life. It can't be all work and no play. You have to nurture your friendships and family relationships. You have to make sure that your finances are okay. You have to look after your physical health. You have to look after your spiritual health too. These are all things that you need to balance in. So just having this 8 areas of life goals each month just keeps me in line and keeps me up to date and making sure that I'm actually living the life that I want to live. I also draw a mini calendar just for that month because I'm extra. But you really don't need to do this if you already have your year log at the start of your bullet journal. You don't need to do this month log. I'm just being extra. The next thing you can add, again, after you've been consistent with your weekly and daily log, you can add a habit tracker. And I like to keep mine very simple. Again, if you look online, there are so many habit trackers that are so complicated. And I've tried many different versions. And eventually I just had to strip it way back and start with my really simple tick box. Did I do this? Yes, no. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I kept it very simple. And I recommend you start simple and then you'll figure out what works and what doesn't work. I try to do a habit tracker on a monthly basis. So on my my month page, I'll do a habit tracker for the whole month and tick it off. But for me, it didn't work. So now I just do it on a weekly basis. But for you, it might work to just do it once a month. And then that way you don't have to keep rewriting your habit tracker. You can just tick it off for like the 31 days and then do it again at the end of the month rather than having to redo a habit tracker every week. For me, it's good because I find it very therapeutic to just draw out the lines, and just it helps me keep on top of my goals and my habits. But again, do what works for you. Like, the beauty of the bullet journal is that it's completely customizable. And again, if you want to see pictures, check my blog post online. There are like real pictures. It's messy, it's not cute, but you'll see the real deal of what my bullet journal looks like. Also, check out my Instagram. I'm always posting pictures of my current bullet journal and things like that. The habit tracker is pretty simple. My design, it's just basically a list of the different habits I wanted to keep track of. For example, yoga, gym, reading, socializing. And I know it sounds really bad, but I'm an introvert. So I need to keep track of the times I socialize, because otherwise I swear I could actually go weeks without like hanging out with my friends. And the thing is, I love them and I love hanging out with my friends and family. I'm a sociable introvert. Like, I love people. But sometimes I just get too stuck in my head and weeks could go by and I'm like, you know what? Let me check my habit tracker. Oh, you know what? I've not hung out with any friends. I've not socialized. So that's why I keep track of my socializations on my habit tracker. But you probably won't need that. You probably won't need to keep track of the amount of times you've socialized with another human being. But that's just me, and that's just a little quirk of mine. But I also have things like music theory. So I'm a big believer in learning something new. So for me, I'm currently learning music theory. I'm up to grade 3. Like, I'm going to do my grade 3 exam very soon. So I'm excited about that. But it's just to make sure that sometimes you have something that's a bit different. Like, there's no reason for me to be studying music theory, but I do it for fun. And I recommend everyone have at least one thing that they have they just do for fun. Like, whether it's drawing, singing, dancing, like whatever it is, like, have something just for you. And I always like to keep track of it. I'm not saying I do it every day, but I want to at least do something just for me, for my own enjoyment, at least 5 times a week. The next thing that I really recommend you add to your bullet journal is a weekly review. This is essential if you want to be building a mindful productivity system, because you need to check in with yourself. Doing a daily review is great, and that is like a foundation for your bullet journal. But doing a weekly review really ties things in a bit more. So on my weekly review, I like to ask myself questions like, what went well? What didn't go so well? How will I improve next week? Was I in alignment with my values? That is an important question, because a new week, when you get to the end of the week and if you realize you haven't been living in alignment with your true self or in alignment with your values, maybe you've acted in a way that wasn't great. Maybe you weren't the greatest person. Maybe you shouted, or maybe you had an argument, and this review just gives you an opportunity to reflect on that and then say, okay, how will I improve next week? It lets you sort of close the door on that and then move forward. So I really recommend it. I also like to ask myself questions like, what are my favorite memories or lessons learned from this week? And this is great. Like, if something funny's happened, like the amount of times something funny happens in my family and we laugh, we have a good time, and then off we go, we forget about it. Whereas at the end of the week, I can just sit down and go, oh yeah, you know what? That funny memory, I'm going to make a note of it. So then when I look back on my bullet journal, I can just it's like a nice little thing to remind myself of all the good things that happen in life. Because sometimes it's so easy to get caught up on the negative. So I really like that question. Like, any favorite memories, funny memories, life-changing memories, like things like that, just jot it down. So those are the questions that I recommend you ask yourself. So what went well? What didn't go so well? Was I in alignment with my values? What will I do differently next week? And what were my favorite memories or lessons learned? So since I've started doing the weekly review, it has helped me manage my anxiety so much more. I used to be so anxious and very, I don't want to say emotionally volatile. I was going through a very difficult phase in my life. Healing is hard, guys. Let's be real. Healing is so hard. And when I was deep in my healing journey, I was constantly trying to be better, trying to do the right thing, but it meant I had to unlearn my previous programming. And sometimes that means you're just going to mess up. Sometimes you're not going to behave in the most perfect way. And that's okay. And by doing this weekly review, I was able to reflect on what went well and like what I did well in my healing journey and what I didn't. And then I can actually move forward. I can let it go. Like, it's on the paper now. I can let it go and I can strive to be better. Whereas before, a bad day would turn into a bad week, and then a bad week would turn into a bad month, and then I'd have like a bad quarter, and then I'd look back and be like, oh my God, the last 6 months of my life has been so bad. When really, if I just reviewed it, took note of what happened, allowed myself to process my emotions and feel my feelings, and then just let it go, that bad day, like if I did that in my daily summary, then great. But if not, if I left it to my weekly review, then at least that bad week won't spill over into the next week. The next week is a fresh start. So this is why I really recommend just doing a weekly review, especially if you're a perfectionist, because sometimes it's so easy to get caught up in the negative. Whereas if you just sit back on a Sunday, do your weekly review, have a self-care day on Sunday, light some candles, like sip on your favorite drink, and then just take a moment to just be with yourself. Take yourself out on a date night if you have to, like go to a little coffee shop and like be the main character, write in your bullet journal, do your weekly review, really sit in that, but and then let it go. That's it. That week is now done. You've done your job, you've learned from it, and now it's a new week and you can plan your new week. So I really, really recommend it. Like, doing a weekly review has changed my life. It's given me a lot more context for my overall life, if that makes sense. And I just feel a lot more grounded when I do my weekly review. I know myself a lot more now, which is great. And then that brings me on to doing a monthly and quarterly and yearly review. Again, build up to it, guys. Okay, I didn't start with this. So I built up to my bullet journal very slowly. But yeah, so now at the end of each month, I do a monthly review. I pretty much answer the same questions, or maybe I add different journal prompt questions. I have a whole blog post with loads of different examples of end of month journal questions that you can ask yourself, so check that out. But yeah, so I just ask myself some questions at the end of each month, and then at the end of each quarter, which is basically 3 months or 12 weeks, I do another review, and then at the end of each year, I do a review. So I'm not even going to lie to you, December 2023, that was a long reflection. And yeah, I did a weekly review, a monthly review, end of quarter review, and end of year review. It was intense, but it really helped me see the growth and the journey that I went on in 2023. So I recommend it, but I feel like maybe in December you could just stick to a yearly review. Just keep it simple because it's a lot of work. But yeah, I really recommend it. Again, build up to it, guys. Please do not overwhelm yourself. And that's pretty much it for my bullet journal. And as I said, the designs are very simple. It's normally just like bullet points, a couple of lines to divide the page. Nothing crazy, nothing pretty. I only use black pen, so it all just stays the same color. There's no washi tape, there's no colored highlighters, there's no stickers. It's not that type of bullet journal. It's a straight to the point bullet journal that is essential for my mindful productivity routine. And again, the great thing about my bullet journal is I just take it everywhere with me. So I use it to just jot down random notes. If I go to a networking event and there's a speaker talking about some amazing things, I jot it down in my bullet journal. If I go to church, I jot down my notes in my bullet journal. I basically, my shopping list in my bullet journal, random, like you're talking to someone and they give you something to look up in the future, like a recommendation for a restaurant or something, put it in the bullet journal. It is literally just my guide, my toolkit, my everything. And it just helps me stay present. And that's another thing, like talking about being present. I recommend that when you do your bullet journal, like when you log into it, so I recommend that when you write in your bullet journal, so whether it's doing your daily plan or your weekly plan, whatever it is, just make sure that that time you spend, like it's probably even 10 minutes a day. Just make sure that time is just you and your bullet journal. Turn off your music, be really mindful with it. Just focus on writing and being present. Like that's how you stop feeling, that's part of the process of stop feeling to stop feeling overwhelmed. Just being mindful when you write in it that this is your time, okay? And I really want to highlight the importance of balance and self-care when you're creating these productivity systems. Don't go all guns blazing, because I know you're probably listening to it. And if you check my blog post, you'll be like, oh, this is great. I want to include all of this. I'm just going to go all guns blazing and create this perfect bullet journal. Please don't do that, okay? Just start small. That is literally all I'm asking you. Start small and build up to it. That's it. Don't fall into the perfectionist trap, because so many perfectionists, they start overcomplicating their layouts, or they have this fear of making mistakes, and it just paralyzes them. Like, what I did when I first started my bullet journal? I would scribble on the first page, because then it's already got a scribble on it. So now I can't mess it up. And it just sort of took the pressure off. So if that's what you need to do that. I don't want you to have unrealistic expectations about how your bullet journal is going to look. And also, let's be real, your bullet journal is not going to solve all of your problems. You're not going to be able to create the perfect layout that does everything you need all in one. And you might even skip a few days. But I'm here to tell you, that is okay. Your bullet journal is just a tool in your overall productivity system. It's not here to be perfect. You can tailor it, you can customize it, you can make it yours and make it work for you. But some days you might just not want to do it. That's okay. Okay, don't shame yourself for doing that, taking a break. Like even now, some days I just don't write my bullet journal. And it's because mainly I'm just sleeping, like I'm having a lazy day. And that's okay. I don't beat myself up. I just pick up where I left off. And that's basically what I want to highlight. Just keep going. Just when you fall off, get back on it. Get rid of the shame. There's no shame here. This is a shame-free zone. Just move forward. And that's it. And don't compare yourself to others. Just don't do it. As I said, when I first started looking at bullet journals, I got really inspired by it, and I would I'd keep Googling and taking screenshots of different designs and be like, oh yeah, I want to do this. These people, they spend hours on their bullet journal. That is their job, that they are content creators for bullet journals. It's not realistic for you to spend 3-4 hours a day creating a perfect bullet journal design. So just start small. My bullet journal, as I said, 10 minutes a day, if that. Sometimes I can do it in 5 minutes. The thing that takes the longest is setting it up each month, or setting up a brand new bullet journal and writing my weekly review. But then it's not too much time, because I'm not making it pretty. It just does the job. Okay. And then the final thing I want to recommend or point out for perfectionists is that I know a lot of you have difficulty adapting. So you might be sticking with a design, but it's no longer working for you. So instead, you kind of just persevere and go, no, I can't let it go. I have to continue with this. It's I'm doing something wrong because it's not working. No, maybe that layout in your bullet journal isn't right for you. Just tweak it. What is working, what isn't working. And then continue doing the stuff that is working, and then try something new for the things that aren't working. Eventually, you'll find a design that works for you. Maybe my design and my layout isn't right for you. That's okay, but it's a starting point. And my goal for you is to just start. Start small, start scrappy, start simple. Whatever it is you need to do, just start and then review and adapt. And that's okay. I know I've said that's okay so many times, but I really need to highlight how important it is for you to know that it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to have a messy bullet journal. It's okay to have a bullet journal that's not colourful and pretty. It's okay to have a bullet journal that you don't want to share on Instagram. That's okay. Your bullet journal is for you, and I really want to encourage you to be compassionate. And also just experiment with your bullet journaling techniques. See what works. This is for you. This is your time. As you can see, I feel really passionate about this subject. It's mainly because it's like I'm speaking to my past self. This is the message that past Teresa needed to hear, but didn't have. So if you're going through this struggles right now and you feel really overwhelmed and you want to get organized, you don't know how to start, just start small. Start with your bullet journal, and see what happens. Let me know. If you listen to this podcast and you read the blog post and you've started with your bullet journal, let me know. Like, I've had a few people tell me that I inspired them to start bullet journaling, and it just brings me so much joy. So I inspire you to start, like, and just send me a message on Instagram, which is at the valued life, and just let me know how it's going on, because I love hearing about people's successes. Your success is my success. Like, we all, like, I know how like painful being a perfectionist can be. So if I could help one person start to unravel that perfectionist trap, then tell me about it. Like, because maybe you have a different design that works for you, and maybe that might help someone else. So to summarize, here's the basic layout for bullet journaling. So there's like the index page, there's the key, you can put your goals for the year, you could do your year log, and then you can just do your weekly and daily log over and over again, weekly and daily log, until you've done it for like 30 days. And then you can go on to do like your different reviews, so like your weekly review and your monthly review, and add in a habit tracker, add in like your monthly goals and things like that. But again, build up to it, but just make your bullet journal your own. Okay, so that's all, guys. Thank you so much for listening. And I'm going to be sharing a lot more podcast episodes and also blog posts. I'm trying to write 2 blog posts a week, so stay tuned. I'm also going to put out a weekly Sunday reset email newsletter where I just share reflections and just encouraging you to reflect on your week. So stay tuned for that. And again, if you want to contact me, message me on Instagram at The Valued Life, or send me an email, which is teresa@thevaluedlife.co.uk, or check out my blog post, thevaluedlife.co.uk. I hope you have a lovely day, and remember, life is for living.